You're watching 5 Star Live, presented by East Tennessee Spine and Sport. Tennessee's #1 high school football show. Live on location from the biggest game of the week. Live interviews from coaches and players, along with highlights, predictions, and up-to-date information about this week's biggest games. Your hosts, Jesse Smithy and Kevin Smith, with decades of experience covering and coaching high school sports, along with a 5-star preps team, will break down region outlooks and what's to come for your favorite prep football teams and top players. Now, get ready for the most comprehensive high school football coverage in Tennessee on 5 Star Live.
Are you ready for some football?
We're ready for some football, baby.
Welcome in, everybody, to 5 Star Live, presented by East Tennessee Spine and Sport. We are in Week 7 of the high school football season. I'll be hosting tonight, Jesse Smithy, along with co-host Kevin Smith. And Kevin, I can look on the horizon here. I can see the leaves changing. We got the wind blowing in our face. It's definitely fall, and we're getting close to crunch time.
I love this weather. It's actual football weather. You can just feel it and smell it in the air. And hey, Jesse, it's crazy to me. I've been reading this week of senior nights going on across the state of Tennessee. It just tells you how close to the end we are and how important these region games are for the rest of the year. Yeah, my old buddy Josh Ward, who I used to do a radio show with on the Sports Animal, he would always start off saying, it's hard to believe it's week fill in the blank. And I'm going to use that. It's really hard to believe it's Week 7. October happens this weekend. We'll have about 4 weeks left of the regular season, and that's when teams really start to solidify their places in the playoff brackets. Back when you coached at Catholic and in the Mid-State, could you feel the juices turn up a little bit come October? Oh, absolutely. You kind of know where you are. If you've been tested a little bit early in the year, you kind of know some of your deficiencies, and you can feel that, hey, some of these games are getting a little bit more important because that seeding is definitely important, and especially being home for the playoffs, keeping your routine is as clean as it can be.
Well, speaking of being home for the playoffs, we are at Bearden High School tonight, where the Bearden Bulldogs, 4-2, 1-1 in region play, take on an undefeated Bradley Central team tonight that's 5-0, 2-0. Bearden is very much in the mix for the 2 seed out of that region. If they're able to win tonight, they stay in the mix. They stay in the hunt for that 2 seed behind Maryville. And with the 2 seed comes the home playoff game. That would be a huge feather in the cap for Josh Jones.
It's a huge game tonight. We can't overstate it. And really, to me, Jesse, the pressure's on Bradley Central due to the fact that they still have Farragut and Maryville looming on their schedule, where we've already seen Bearden play Maryville. They do have Farragut, which should be a great game in a couple of weeks. But this is a really important game for Bradley if they want to try to solidify this 2 seed. If not, Jesse, we're looking at either one of these teams falling all the way to 4th place in the region.
Yeah, I say they stay in the mix because just because they win, whoever might win this game tonight, it's not guaranteed they get a 2 seed. It's a very competitive region this year. That Bearden-Farragut game, I think on Thursday, October 27th, ought to be for a big-time spot in the playoff bracket. But tonight we're talking about this game with Bradley Central, Bearden High School. We're going to get to some other games around the area tonight, as well as a look back to last night. There were a ton of games on Thursday night as people either moved their game because of the official shortages or because of the remnants of the storm that are coming up this way for this weekend. So we got a lot to get to about tomorrow night. But, Kevin, let's talk about this game some more. Coming into the year, you could tell that Bearden was probably going to have a good defense, but you had a completely new coaching staff, a complete overhaul. You've had tons of coaching experience. I'm blown away about how well this program has been able to expedite that and to get all those guys working together for them to have 4 wins already at this point in the season.
Yeah, I think this coach staff's done a good job of infusing energy into this program and having some younger guys. I know, the old coaching staff sitting there saying, hey, we had some freshmen playing last year, right? This coach staff has had the benefit of having some freshmen who are now sophomores and sophomores that were juniors now stepping up and having, game time action under their belt, and now they're performing. And this is a situation where Bearden's had a great start, and this is a great spot right here at home for an opportunity to stay in that hunt for a 2 seed.
But when I looked at it in the preseason, I was like, man, this has all the recipe for a disaster. You got new kids coming in. You got all these coaches that are coming in that have never coached together before. Typically, when a new coach comes in, he's like, okay, I'm going to bring 2 or 3 guys from my old place. At least, I know I can count on. But Josh Jones basically just brought in a completely new staff, and for them to be at this point 4-2, still in the hunt and the playoff mix, has been really impressive. I'll tell you what else has been impressive is the jump that they've had offensively. Back week 1 against West, the defense played great, but the offense just could not put any points on the board. That was the problem all of last year. They had so many young guys that they just couldn't score offensively. And the first couple of weeks, it just seemed to kind of be the same thing, but then all of a sudden it kind of snapped. It clicked, and now Bearden's kind of in full stride.
Well, and I think part of it is how good West is, right? And some of the schedule.
Sure.
We're looking at Bearden's schedule. Bearden has already played Fulton, Maryville, and West. They are battle-tested. And early on in the year, I would rather be battle-tested, get my guys live-game action against good opponents so that when some of the opponents change a little bit, they're ready, especially when we get into region play and getting ready for the playoffs. This team has been battle-tested. They've shown that they can hang in there. They've built confidence over the last couple of weeks with their passing game and running game.
I think Bradley Central had a bye week last week. Again, I'm going to dip into your coaching expertise. So many times in the media we'll say, okay, well, they had a bye. They've had 2 weeks to prepare. That's a huge advantage. Take me through what that actually means. Like when you have a bye, you're going into a big game. Like what advantages that can bring you?
I think first and foremost, giving your staff and your players a little time off. Hit the mental fatigue. Let everybody get back mentally. Get everybody healthy. It's extra time in the training room, extra time in the weight room. Another benefit from it is getting back to fundamentals. You kind of have halfway point in the season. It's a great time to get that fundamentals back, getting some individual work with each position. And then the next part of that is also having the opportunity to self-scout. Now I can go back and see, am I doing things every time on 2nd and 2? Am I doing something every time defensively? If I'm blitzing a certain blitz on 3rd and 7, it's an opportunity to self-scout. And then obviously you get ahead against your opponent. It's a really good time here in the middle of the year for all those reasons.
But do you go overboard on prep for your opponent? I mean, do you just get as much as you can, or do you kind of keep it still the same in terms of how much film you watch and how many coaches you call?
Well, I think every coaching staff's a little bit different. I think, yes, obviously you can go overboard. You can have too much information at times. But I also think it's an opportunity. Yes, I'm learning more about my opponent, but really I got to take care of me first. I got to take care of my coaching staff, my team. We got to self-scout. We need to get healthy. We need to get back in the weight room and fundamentals.
That's Kevin Smith. I'm Jesse Smith. We're going to get to our first break tonight on 5 Star Live, presented by East Tennessee Spine and Sport. When we come back, we're going to hear from Bearden football coach Josh Jones in his first season. We've got an interview with him coming up after the break. Again, we're going to talk about some games tonight around the area, some big matchups in region play, take a look back at Thursday night's game, and do our predictions there late in the show. So stick with us right here on 5 Star Live.
Siding and Windows is a complete exterior home improvement company that can help you with all your exterior needs. Visit us today at 5618 North Broadway.
When you shop at Elliott's, your journey is our purpose.
If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Told her if it's all me, everything is on me, gon' back it up.
East Tennessee, the foothills of the Smokies, beautiful lakes, Friday night heroes, and one red light small towns with more life than any big city, where orange and white is displayed. Yeah, the one and only home of the Tennessee Vols, but also the home of the 134th Air Refueling Wing Volunteers. You might catch us in the beautiful skies of East Tennessee, flying the time-tested, irreplaceable, world-traveling, aerial refueling KC-135. Yeah, you heard that right. We refuel other aircraft while traveling the world at over 30,000 feet and 500 miles an hour. The amazing thing is, that's really not the 134th Air Refueling Wing's greatest strength. Our greatest strength is our airmen, our warriors, who have answered our nation's call. Guardians of freedom and justice, not only in our beautiful hills, but worldwide. They are our sentries and avengers, defending our country with their lives. They are the best of us, wingmen, leaders, and warriors. And you best believe they will never falter or fail. Flying, fighting, and winning. They are American Airmen and Tennessee Air National Guardsmen. So what are you waiting for? It's time to join the hometown team. Visit GoANG.com or call 1-800-TO-GO-ANG.
Welcome back to 5 Star Live, presented by East Tennessee Spine and Sport. Jesse Smithy along with Kevin Smith at Bearden High School, breaking down this huge matchup between the Bulldogs and the Bears. Bradley Central comes in at 5-0, Bearden 4-2. Bearden probably a lot more battle-tested. You look at the teams on their schedule that they've had to face. We talked about the West game, but they played Oak Ridge and a number of other top contestants around the area. Yeah,
they've had Fulton and Marable. And Jesse, what I'm really excited about tonight is the defensive coordinator. Both these defenses come in, giving up about 17 points a game. They've both been really good, really as advertised for both of them. I'm anxious to see tonight which offense can actually move the football, stay turnover-free, and stay ahead of the chains. And I'm really excited tonight. Bradley Central, Jesse, we saw him come out here earlier. They passed the eye test. And Marcus Gorey Jr. is the guy in the 2024 class that a lot of people are talking about, Jesse. I'm excited to see if he stands out tonight. Is he the guy that everybody's talking about as a Power 5 possible University of Tennessee recruit? And it's an exciting time here tonight here at Bearden.
The thing that I wrote about with Bradley Central is they kind of have a case of the Bareleys this year. They barely won last week against Hardin Valley. They barely beat Cleveland and some other teams on their schedule. Are they due for a loss? Do you read into that too much?
I do read into schedules. I do. I think we'll get to our picks later, but I do think there's a lot to be said for being battle-tested and being in big-time matchups and in front of big crowds. I think we're going to see a big crowd here tonight, and Bearden's been there and done that. I think for Bradley Central, looking at their schedule, I'm a little concerned with how they've prepared themselves for this football game.
Yep. Talking about this football game, obviously Josh Jones, the first-year head coach at Bearden High School, busy going through the whole pregame ritual back there behind us and everything else. So I stopped out here yesterday to talk with him. We talked with him in the preseason about what's new being a first-time head coach, but we caught up with him yesterday just about how well that they've done so far through 6 weeks and kind of what he thinks about Bradley Central coming up tonight. Here's that interview with Josh Jones. All right, Josh, you guys are 4-2 right here going into the latter weeks of the season. Just how have you guys gotten in this position? Because it seemed like y'all really brought the offense along.
Yeah, I've said it early on, we're a work in progress, new team, new staff and everything. Just every single week, the kids come out here every day. They buy into what we're, trying to teach them to do and coach them to do. And they come out here every week getting better. We saw it for weeks, just getting better practice. And eventually you knew it was going to come to the field on Friday night. That's what we kind of, did last week. I thought we had a really good night.
What were the problem areas early? Because it seemed like it was kind of the same story as last year. The defense is good, but just couldn't get enough points on the board. But y'all eventually kind of bust through that, though.
Yeah, one thing that was early on especially that we were consistent with was we were inconsistent. And it was never the same guy. It was never the quarterback always, or it was never the O-line always, or never this receiver, that running back, whatever. It was always just a different guy. Just so inconsistent. You'd have a great couple plays out to somebody, then they'd have a bad play, and they'd mess the play up. In football, all it takes is one mess up the whole thing. Operation can be shut down. That's kind of the one thing. But we've been more consistent at practice, and therefore it's carried over to Friday nights.
So I mentioned the defense has kind of been good all year long. What do you like about what that group is getting done?
early on, man, I could tell all the way back in spring ball, our D was going to be legit. They fly around, they're physical, got a lot of experience over there. It's a new scheme, a lot of them learning some different stuff and playing at different positions, so they're learning different roles. But the defense has been there kind of from day one, and they're just the defensive staff does a great job preparing those guys, and they come out here every week and just get after. They want to hit you. They're very physical bunch. I'm glad they're on our team.
You obviously have coached in Division II. You've coached in 5A. And have you noticed any kind of jump in 6A? Has that been any different for you?
I got asked that in the preseason, and I think in 6A, the difference between probably maybe 6A and 5A is the top teams in 5A can play with the teams in 6A. But there's probably in 6A, there's maybe just more better teams, the depth among teams. And probably the line of scrimmage might be the biggest jump between 5A and 6A. Pretty much everybody you play, man, is really good and deep at the defensive line and offensive line units. And that's where we're trying to get to, here at Bearden, continue to develop depth and stuff in a line of scrimmage. I think 6A is a line of scrimmage league.
This Bradley Central team that you guys are going to be facing, what have y'all seen out of them on film that not gives you concern but kind of raises your eyebrows a little bit?
I never played them before, so didn't really know anything about them, man. But you pop the tape in. Every year they're a team that wins a lot of games. They play in the playoffs every year. You pop the tape on and you see why. They're well coached, it looks like. They don't really have any weaknesses. They play really hard. They run some sound schemes on both sides of the ball. I've been real impressed with them. So we look forward to the challenge on Friday night.
Welcome back into 5 Star Live, presented by East Tennessee Spine and Sport. And speaking of Spine and Sport, I have Micah from East Tennessee Spine and Sport. Number one, Micah, thank you guys so much for supporting us in high school football. Awesome to be able to partner with you all. I've said it on the show a number of times. I've been to Spine and Sport to treat an injury. You guys did an amazing job, and I can't recommend you enough, so thanks for being here tonight.
Well, absolutely, Jesse. Yeah, we appreciate the kind words. Like you alluded to open the show, man, this is a beautiful evening.
Yeah.
You got the breeze, the sunshine, hopefully an electrifying football game in front of us, so excited to be here.
We heard from Josh Jones, the Bearden head coach there, while you were coming in onto the set, and he was talking to us about some of his players coming back from injury. I know you guys treat not only athletes here in town, but adults and families and whatnot. What's the most difficult thing about treating a teenager where they want to get back on the field as soon as possible? Teenagers aren't patient at all, especially athletes. They want to be back on the field, and some of these kids are having to sit out 6-7 weeks. It's got to be hard, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right, and I always preface, when I'm working with those kiddos, I'm not a patient person, and it's hard to preach patience when you're not patient yourself. But that's exactly right. We're really looking at the long haul, especially when you've got a grueling season, ahead of you. It's really about making sure we're taking care of the longevity of the athlete, and not just getting back on the field, putting some tape on them and letting them get back to work. So it definitely has a lot of education involved.
How important is it for these kids and their families to tell you all the full story? There's countless cases of athletes just kind of sugarcoating things so they can get back there. How important is for them to give you every single detail?
Yeah, that's absolutely pivotal. And that's the great thing about having parents as a good support cast and those around family members, just for that reason, to make sure that we're getting the accurate information, the correct information. But I think that can kind of streamline even into what we see in the general population. And that's where a lot of as a good clinician, good therapist, you're really trying to find those objective measures that you can tangibly measure and make sure that patient, that athlete is actually trending in the right direction before we head them back out onto the field.
What I like about you guys, you have multiple locations throughout our greater Knoxville area. I think 6 or 7 locations, and just tell us about yourself, how you got involved with East Tennessee Spine and Sport. You were saying you pretty much have been there your whole professional career.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I've been with the company since 2014. I basically have grown up my professional career so far with East Tennessee Spine and Sport. I've really kind of seen the growth, especially as of late, as we've now expanded really through the East Tennessee region here, expanding across Knox County, Knox City, Oak Ridge, Lenore City. So I've really seen the growth and development of East Tennessee Spine and Sport, and really that shows kind of in the footprint that we're able to really now have in the community, really in all those areas of our 6 locations.
But it's not just high school athletes and kid athletes. Right? You treat adults and just everybody that might have some type of issue, right?
Absolutely, yeah. We definitely try to make sure we have a heavy foot in the community with the schools, but that's absolutely right. We're of all age groups. I mean, from elderly, geriatric population, we see pediatrics, we see just your general weekend warriors, those that are, trying to get out and just run a 5K. I mean, we see really anything and everything in between.
One of the controversial topics right now is the Tua Tagovailoa injury that happened in the NFL, and I'm not going to put you on the spot and make you diagnose him because you don't have all the facts and you're not dealing with the patient personally, but concussions has been such a lightning rod topic in football for the last decade or so, and you guys do have a treatment available, though, so should some kid get a concussion or maybe fall into concussion protocol tonight, you guys can treat that as well.
Yeah, so and you're right. I mean, that's a very sensitive topic and subject. But I mean, with that, the acuity of the concussion, really that has to be managed very well and very quickly. We see a lot of concussions, typically based on the severity. A large percentage of those will actually recover within, about a 2-week time frame. But, really on the back end of those concussions is where you see us step into the field. That's where we're doing things like helping with, maybe chronic dizziness, trying to just revamp and some of those activities that have maybe been modified early on. So early on, that's a lot of education and management with activity modification. But absolutely, when it comes to, looking at, ocular dysfunction and vestibular type of rehab training, that's definitely a big part of what we can do to kind of help get kids back out here on the field.
Yeah, hopefully we don't see any of that tonight. That was a really scary scene last night in the Dolphins game, and certainly prayers for Tua and his family. That was just something you never want to see, whether it's an NFL player or a middle school player.
Absolutely not. I mean, that's just devastating. I mean, it obviously, has those long-term impacts with that, and you just absolutely hate to see that. And unfortunately, the more first time you have a concussion, the likelihood of that potentially occurring again, unfortunately increases. That's just not something you want to have to deal with.
Yeah. Micah, let everybody out there know, like, if they do have a player that's injured tonight, or maybe they're dealing with something on their own, how they can come see you guys and get treatment.
Absolutely. So, the easiest way to find us would be to go to easttnspinesport.com. That'll show all of our 6 locations in the area. Specifically, I'm the clinic director here at our West Knoxville Bearden location. Feel free to just drop by. Once again, just look us up on the internet, even Google us, East Tennessee Spine and Sport Physical Therapy.
Well, Micah, thanks for coming out, hanging out with us tonight. Good to see you. Good to meet you. Looking forward to having you back out on set, maybe later on in the year.
Sure, man. Anytime.
Do you like cold weather? I mean, when it gets super cold in November, we might have you out.
It's better than the heat of the summer.
Yeah,
for sure,
that's for sure. That's Micah from East Tennessee Spine and Sport. We're going to catch another break. We come back. Kevin Smith will be joining me back on set. We're going to look back to last night's games, start to preview some Friday night games here in Week 7 of the high school football season. Don't go anywhere. We got more to come on 5 Star Live.
North Knox Siding and Windows is a complete exterior home improvement company that can help you with all your exterior needs. Visit us today at 5618 North Broadway.
When you shop at Elliott's, your journey is our purpose.
If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up, I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh you matter what. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up, I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh you matter what. Told her if it's all me, everything is on me, gon' back it up.
East Tennessee, the foothills of the Smokies, beautiful lakes, Friday night heroes, and one red light small towns with more life than any big city, where orange and white is displayed. Yeah, the one and only home of the Tennessee Vols, but also the home of the 134th Air Refueling Wing Volunteers. You might catch us in the beautiful skies of East Tennessee, flying the time-tested, irreplaceable, world-traveling, aerial refueling KC-135. Yeah, you heard that right. We refuel other aircraft while traveling the world at over 30,000 feet and 500 miles an hour. The amazing thing is, that's really not the 134th Air Refueling Wing's greatest strength. Our greatest strength is our airmen, our warriors, who have answered our nation's call. Guardians of freedom and justice, not only in our beautiful hills, but worldwide. They are our sentries and avengers, defending our country with their lives. They are the best of us, wingmen, leaders, and warriors, and you best believe they will never falter or fail. Flying, fighting, and winning, they are American Airmen and Tennessee Air National Guardsmen. So what are you waiting for? It's time to join the hometown team. Visit GoANG.com or call 1-800-TO-GO-ANG.
Welcome back into 5 Star Live, presented by East Tennessee Spine and Sport. Kevin, you can feel the momentum building in this game. We got the band behind us. We're 1982 Bearden class of 1982 celebrating over there. I see a former Bearden football coach walking by. The opening kickoff is getting closer as excitement builds in this game.
Yeah, warm-ups are going on. We're checking off all the players. This is an exciting time and really excited. I'm really excited to see this football game tonight.
Last night there were an inordinate amount of games for a Thursday night. I think a lot of people bumping it up a little bit because of the official shortage, or they want to start their fall break a little bit, maybe trying to avoid some potential bad weather tonight because of the hurricane remnants. So I'm going to go through a score list real quick. We'll get in depth with some more of these games in here in just a second. Campbell County wins rivalry Thursday last night, 54-48 in overtime. Chattanooga Christian got a nice win over Boyd Buchanan, 33-16. I didn't see that one coming.
I did.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, Boyd's a really good football team, and I think obviously Division II AA this year is going to be a little bit harder for Lipscomb and CPA, who've kind of dominated that division over the last couple of years. Chattanooga Christian is legit. They got 3 or 4 legitimate Power 5 players down there at Chattanooga Christian, and they can score on anybody at any time.
Okay. Chucky Doak knocked off Unicoi County 34-20. That was a matchup of great running backs there. Eastridge delivered Sequoia their 41st consecutive loss. I picked Sequoia out of just goodwill and just to try to give them some mojo. That was a matchup of 2 winless teams, and you got beat 40-0 in that game. I can't imagine what those kids are going through.
That's tough. That's tough for the community, the staff, and the players. You got to get back to work and come back and continue to fight and get ready for the next game.
We're going to say a prayer. We're going to say a prayer for Sequoia football at some point, whether in a break or something.
I mean, that's as hard as Maryville being undefeated against Knox County teams since 2000.
Yeah, it's an unbelievable losing streak there. We hope we get it turned around down there in Sequoia really soon. Elizabethton wins easily over Sullivan East. Central 29 points in the fourth quarter last night to rally on the road and beat Cott County. They are just kind of piecing it together at Central. I think Frank Johnson played a little bit of quarterback last night. He still ran for almost 200 yards and 4 touchdowns, but I think he threw it 3 or 4 times. Injuries and just whatnot. They're finding a way to do it and win, but it's not always pretty.
Well, and they've struggled really, Jesse, the last couple of years at the quarterback position. They've had running backs and players on the outside. Got to find a way to continue to get them the football, and defensively, kind of clean up some things that are going on there defensively and not get yourself down and have to make a rally.
Science Hill wins 35-21 against Morristown East. Morristown East had the ball inside the 5 in the fourth quarter twice to be able to tie that game. Could not do it. And Webb wins 21-0. Jerry, we'll go ahead and roll the Webb clip there. Webb comes into this game, Kevin, against Grace Christian, heavy favorites. However, they are without starting running back Jalen Hill. He was hurt against CAK a few weeks ago. And then their star freshman wide receiver, Shavar Young, was seen on social media last week at the Tennessee visit with a sling on his arm. I don't know how long he's going to be out, but those are 2 huge components that were out last night for Webb. Charlie Robinson, senior quarterback, does exactly what a senior quarterback's supposed to do. Stepped up big. Not only did he throw for over 200 yards, but he rushed for 150 last night. That's got to be what you want to see out of your leader, just picking up the slack.
And part of his 150-yard rushes, what I was encouraged about for Webb was it wasn't necessarily him scrambling out of the pocket because he was under duress. I thought the offensive line did a really good job last night of giving him a clean pocket at times and then having design quarterback runs. He stepped up last night. You're right. I mean, the two guys we just mentioned are guys that can take it to the house from 80 yards. They're game breakers. You lose two game breakers that are worth a touchdown apiece in a game, that can really hamper your offense and slow you down. Great job by Webb last night. And what I really saw last night, Jesse, was this defense has continued to get more and more pub, have continued to show up each and every week. It's legit. They're legit up front. They've got linebackers that can run and are physical. And on the back end, they don't just knock down passes. They don't deflect passes. They go up and ball hawk. They intercept the ball and turn it back over for their offense to get the ball. This is a legitimate Webb football team that's somebody to keep an eye on as we continue to push towards the playoffs.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because last night Webb had a couple turnovers, and they had 13 penalties for about 120 yards. So they had some things to battle. That defense, though, held Grace Christian to 91 yards on 42 plays. And that defense, their linebackers, I love Bonifacio. I love Cooper Cameron. I think he's a certified college football prospect, a junior. And but going forward, looking forward with this Webb team, they need Shavari Young back. He is the game buster. I mean, I'm sure Grace Christian doubled up Marquise Barrett last night. He still had 10 catches for 90 yards, but didn't see much yards after the catch on that. So they need him back to kind of balance that out and just have that game breaker.
Well, and absolutely. And Jaden Hill, I mean, he's been really coming on. I mean, a guy that, again, he can take it to the house as well, but he's also been consistent in 4 and 5 yards, 6 yards a carry, something they really need to take the pressure off Charlie Robinson. And if we talked to Meskey today, he would tell you 2 turnovers, 13 penalties, we're going to lose the football game. But again, when your defense is as good as they are, great job last night by Webb, hanging in there, letting their night, had a couple of guys out. But this is when you find out if your team is good or not. You can win in a situation with turnovers and penalties and with guys out. They still found a way to win. It's not about I'm not into the beautiful wins or how it looks. I just want to win the game. It's hard to win, Jesse. When you can win the football game, especially in those conditions, you've got a good football team.
Speaking of hard to win, last night's rivalry Thursday game was hard to win for both Clinton and Campbell County. 54-48 win into overtime by Campbell County. Campbell County came out like gangbusters in that game, returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown. Next thing you know, they're up 27-6. Clinton got a really good score right there before halftime, but I thought Campbell County really came out early last night and kind of took a hold of the momentum. We'll get to the second half and overtime in a minute, but in a game that they needed to win for region seeding and for playoff seeding, they did exactly what they needed to do to start the game.
You know, we talked earlier about Chattanooga Christian. I wasn't really shocked by that with the players they have. I was shocked last night that Campbell County was able to get out in front like they did against Clinton. Clinton's defense has played really well up to this point last night. It almost felt like neither team really wanted to win the football game and could make a play defensively. I'll tell you what, though, this quarterback from Campbell County, 18 of 23, efficient throwing the football.
Just a sophomore.
Sophomore. 312 yards and 4 touchdowns. And what I saw last night in that football game, Jesse, we talked about a clean pocket for Charlie. That offensive line from Campbell County played lights out last night. They gave him a clean pocket. That guy didn't have pressure. He was putting the ball on the money. And Campbell County had wide open receivers. Clinton's really got to get back to the drawing board and figure out what's going on in the secondary with so many open receivers running free last night.
Yeah, and another feather in the cap of that offensive line is their quarterback, Landon Hensley, also ran the ball effectively. I think he had around 54 yards rushing in that football game. Clinton, though, comes back. They get a score right before the half, cut it to 27-14. They get back in it. They actually take the lead late in the third quarter. Campbell County comes back, takes the lead. Clinton takes the lead. Campbell County takes the lead. It was a back-and-forth affair for sure. Clinton, though, has 2 chances late in the game to win it in regulation. They get the 3-yard touchdown run from Joshua Keith right there on the goal line. And then they're put into a situation, there's about 4 or 5 seconds left, put into a situation where they don't know what to do on the extra point. It's a tie football game. They've had some squirrely-looking kicks earlier in the game, so I think they said, okay, let's go for 2. They get their guys out there, delay a game. As a coach, that stuff drives you crazy.
It really does, and the confusion there, not knowing what we're going to do, should have been handled beforehand. If you know, honestly, you should know if we score, we're going for 2, or, hey, we're going for the extra point in that situation, especially in a tie ball game. Very unfortunate for them, because then they missed the extra point after that, and then didn't find a way to score in overtime. But again, great job by Campbell County. You know, sometimes you get up big, Jesse, and you give up the lead, and you can kind of, all the momentum and all the air can come out, and you lose focus, and you know Clinton's a good football team, and you find a way to lose the game. Great job by Campbell County last night to stay calm and find a way to win that football game. And yeah, they had a few things bounce their way, but hey, we all need some things to bounce our way to win a football game.
And it hadn't bounced their way in the previous 2 games. They had lost 2 games in a row coming into that matchup against Clinton last night by a combined 4 points. So when you talk about things going awry against them, they very easily could have fallen into that mentality of, okay, here we go again. Why aren't things going our way? But they did not do that. But back to that Clinton situation there at the end of regulation. They didn't have their stuff together, had the delay of game. Then they decide to bring their kicker out, and that's a dumpster fire of a play as well. They're having to rush the PAT because there's only like 1 or 2 seconds left on the play clock. They rush it, doesn't get it off cleanly. Campbell County goes in there and blocks it. So it's a tie game. They go onside kick. They get the onside kick right there at midfield, and Joshua Keith has as big of an arm as anybody, and they have a chance there to win it in regulation. It's batted down. But then they get the ball first in overtime. They go 0 for 4. They're not able to kick a field goal. They drop a wide-open touchdown pass on 4th down. Kevin, as much as we like Clinton's personnel and that team and the hype around it, they had to win that game last night, though. They are now 0-3 in region play. I think just 2 region games left. It's going to take, I haven't looked at all the possibilities and the math of it all, but it's going to take something wild for them to even have a chance to get in the playoffs.
They need a lot of help. I mean, again, Campbell County, huge victory for them. Try to get in the playoffs and for region implications. Terrible loss for Clinton all the way around. As we talked about, they're going to need a lot of help to get in there. What you got to do as a coaching staff is, one, you got to go evaluate what happened there at the end of the football game and correct that moving forward. And you got to find a way to keep your kids, their mind right. Keep them engaged, because you never know. And then you got to keep playing the season out, because you never know what's going to happen. You never know if another team's going to give you that opportunity to get back in the playoffs. So they got to do a really good job of soul searching this week with that staff and this program.
Let's take a look into Week 7 tonight. Some key region matchups. We'll start with Oak Ridge and Powell. Oak Ridge coming off of a bye week, 3-2. They've had a lot of injuries this year. I've been told that some of these guys are starting to come back. That's exactly what Scott Cumming needs going into this matchup with Powell. He needs every capable body that he can get to beat Powell tonight. Even though they don't have Walter Nolan and all that stuff, they're still a really good football team.
Well, and they got Aiden Green. They got players all over the outside, athletes that can make plays. A running back has really come on. We know about Jordan Potts. Again, I just love watching this young man play. Love his heart. Love how he competes. This is an Oak Ridge team, though, that, like you said, has had injuries. The question always is who's healthy. If they're healthy, they're as athletic as anybody on the back end and are physical up front. To me tonight, Jesse, can Oak Ridge's running game get going, keep the ball, keep Powell's offense off the field? That will be their best defense tonight, and I'm excited to see that.
Oak Ridge had 2 backs go for over 100 yards, I think, in their last outing. Jai Hunley, the senior who we missed in the Clinton game, he was hurt. He's come back. He ran for over 100 yards. And then they have that junior DeJalvis Dozier. I really struggle saying his name. But he's been one of the surprise players in the area. So if both of those guys are going tonight, could be a good night for Oak Ridge.
Oak Ridge is one of the few teams around the area that can match them player for player skill-wise.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to be fun to watch.
Yep. Dobbins-Bennett at Jefferson County. Dobbins-Bennett lost last week to Greenville. Had a 2-point conversion stopped at the end of regulation to lose 21-20 against Greenville. They also had 2 red zone trips, basically inside the 5 at the goal line, stopped in the first half against Greenville. Dobbins-Bennett's going to come into this game steaming mad.
Yeah, you know they're hot. And you know they're sick to their stomach after that loss. This is a Jefferson County team, though, at home, tough place to play. This is a sneaky game right here for both teams. Another huge region matchup. Both teams, both defenses are holding opponents under 10 points a game. Yeah. This is going to be a physical slugfest tonight because both teams can also run the football.
Yeah, Dobbins-Bennett has a huge offensive line, multiple backs that they rely on, and Jefferson County, as we talked about in the first segment, with that bye right before a big game, we'll see how they utilize it and what kind of game plan.
This is one of the sneaky games. This could be a sneaky good game here in Knox County, or excuse me, in the Knoxville area, East Tennessee area, that a lot of people aren't talking about.
I think Jefferson County's only beat them 4 times historically, but they definitely have the firepower to do that this year. Last game we're going to talk about before the break, Anderson County, Carter. We might see another repeat of what we saw on Rivalry Thursday last night with 100 points combined, touchdowns galore. It might get wild at the Strawberry Plains tonight.
Yeah, both offenses, again, have players, have outside guys that can go up and catch the football. And I think Anderson County has a little bit more of a running game than Carter does. And I'm anxious to see Anderson County's defense, Jesse. 2 out of the last 3 weeks, they have not played up to their potential and how they've been playing earlier in the year when they were shutting people down. They've given up some points and had some issues on defense 2 out of the last 3 weeks. I'm anxious to see this defense tonight. Do they step up tonight and show who they really are?
Well, they have Tony Lambert out there running that defense. I'm sure he's going to motivate them. He'll cook up something out there. But you talk about 2 of the more prolific producing quarterbacks in terms of overall passing yards in the area with Walker Martinez at Anderson County, Chandler Wilson at Carter. As you mentioned, they both have those dudes to throw to. Bryson Vowell really got involved in the second half last week in that comeback win against Elizabethan. And, of course, Caleb Harper, the speedy wide receiver at Carter, has been lights out all season long. So that could be a really fun matchup. Anderson County has not lost a region game, I think, since 2016. Carter won 3 games in a row now, starting to get his mojo back, and we'll see what happens out there tonight.
Again, another one where Anderson County has really played a tough schedule and getting themselves prepared for games like this.
We're going to catch our final break. When we come back, we're going to look at all of y'all's predictions out there about what players to look for in Week 7, along with our predictions for a few games tonight. So stick with us right here on 5 Star Live, presented by East Tennessee Spine and Sport.
North Knox Siding and Windows is a complete exterior home improvement company that can help you with all your exterior needs. Visit us today at 5618 North Broadway.
When you shop at Elliott's, your journey is our purpose.
If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh you matter what. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh you matter what. Told her if it's all me, everything is on me, gon' back it up.
East Tennessee, the foothills of the Smokies, beautiful lakes, Friday night heroes, and one red light small towns with more life than any big city. Where orange and white is displayed. Yeah, the one and only home of the Tennessee Vols, but also the home of the 134th Air Refueling Wing Volunteers. You might catch us in the beautiful skies of East Tennessee, flying the time-tested, irreplaceable, world-traveling, aerial refueling KC-135. Yeah, you heard that right. We refuel other aircraft while traveling the world at over 30,000 feet and 500 miles an hour. The amazing thing is, that's really not the 134th Air Refueling Wing's greatest strength. Our greatest strength is our airmen, our warriors, who have answered our nation's call. Guardians of freedom and justice, not only in our beautiful hills, but worldwide. They are our sentries and avengers, defending our country with their lives. They are the best of us, wingmen, leaders, and warriors, and you best believe they will never falter or fail. Flying, fighting, and winning, they are American Airmen and Tennessee Air National Guardsmen. So what are you waiting for? It's time to join the hometown team. Visit GoANG.com or call 1-800-TO-GO-ANG.
North Knox Siding and Windows is a complete exterior home improvement company that can help you with all your exterior needs. Visit us today at 5618 North Broadway.
When you shop at Elliott's, your journey is our purpose.
If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up, I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh you matter what. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up, I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh you matter what. Add it up, told her if it's all me, everything is on me, gon' back it up.
East Tennessee, the foothills of the Smokies, beautiful lakes, Friday night heroes, and one red light small towns with more life than any big city, where orange and white is displayed. Yeah, the one and only home of the Tennessee Vols, but also the home of the 134th Air Refueling Wing Volunteers. You might catch us in the beautiful skies of East Tennessee, flying the time-tested, irreplaceable, world-traveling, aerial refueling KC-135. Yeah, you heard that right. We refuel other aircraft while traveling the world at over 30,000 feet and 500 miles an hour. The amazing thing is, that's really not the 134th Air Refueling Wing's greatest strength. Our greatest strength is our airmen, our warriors, who have answered our nation's call. Guardians of freedom and justice, not only in our beautiful hills, but worldwide. They are our sentries and avengers, defending our country with their lives. They are the best of us, wingmen, leaders, and warriors, and you best believe they will never falter or fail. Flying, fighting, and winning, they are American Airmen and Tennessee Air National Guardsmen. So what are you waiting for? It's time to join the hometown team. Visit goang.com or call 1-800-TO-GO-ANG.
Welcome back in. Final segment here on 5 Star Live. Kevin, I always try to put the pressure on the public, make them make some predictions because we make ours. Every Friday on social media, I say, hey, give me a player or two that's going off. I tell them we're going to read some. We got Kai Ironside, who we'll see tonight for Bearden. Preshawn Brown, their running back, was nominated. Andrew Meyer and Nick Moog from Anderson County. They're definitely going to be needed on both sides of the football up there in Strawberry Plains. Hudson Kramer with 2 interceptions. Calling the amount of interceptions he plays for Farragut High School. Then somebody said, everyone on Powell. So I just
we will see.
Yeah, I just responded back. Okay, duly noted on that. We're going to stop right now before we get to our game predictions. They're going to play the national anthem, so we're going to take a break here and let the national anthem play. When we come back and sit down, we're going to do our predictions for Week 7.
North Knox Siding and Windows is a complete exterior home improvement company that can help you with all your exterior needs. Visit us today at 5618 North Broadway.
When you shop at Elliott's, your journey is our purpose.
If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up, I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh you matter what. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up, I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh you matter what. Told her if it's all me, everything is on me, gon' back it up.
East Tennessee, the foothills of the Smokies, beautiful lakes, Friday night heroes, and one red light small towns with more life than any big city, where orange and white is displayed. Yeah, the one and only home of the Tennessee Vols, but also the home of the 134th Air Refueling Wing Volunteers. You might catch us in the beautiful skies of East Tennessee, flying the time-tested, irreplaceable, world-traveling.
Welcome back into 5 Star Live. The national anthem is over. The captains are out on the field, so let's speed through this, Kevin. Some more predictions coming up in the area tonight. A lot of teams played last night, so they try to predict themselves. The players got on there and try to predict themselves. You can't do that. But a few of them tonight. Aiden Green at Powell has definitely been nominated as a player to watch. Dakota Waldo, running back from Rockwood, probably doesn't get enough credit. Just a really good, strong. You would love to coach the kid. Lives in the weight room, big weight room warrior. Let's see, Deshaun Bishop at Carnes. We know him. Nick Moog, again, Anderson County. So we go through Matthew Clemmer at Maryville High School. They need him to definitely play well throughout, not just tonight, but the rest of the season. Starting to see another guy emerge in the wide receiver core out at Maryville. That's a good sign, so they don't put too much pressure on their running back. Tucker Gillette, he was our player of the week in 5 Star Preps, and Smith Built Homes, he plays at Granger High School. And we got a lot for an 865 Hurley, whose account does not even exist anymore. So good luck, 865 Hurley. All right, Kevin, our predictions for tonight. There's a sign back behind us that says Dogs by 90. I don't think the Dogs win by 90, but I do like their chances tonight in this football game against Bradley Central. As I said before, I think Bradley Central is due for a loss. It's not going to be easy. It's a blustery night. It's going to be tough to throw the football. I like Bearden's chances tonight. I got them winning.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Bearden's schedule has set them up nicely for this. They know their deficiencies. They've been able to work on them. This is a team that's flying around defensively. I like Bearden 31-17 tonight.
Let's look ahead around the region as well. Oak Ridge and Powell. I like Oak Ridge getting healthier, getting some momentum, but I still got Powell winning this football game at home.
If there's anybody in the area that can match up with Powell, skill for skill on the outside, it's Oak Ridge. I think they're getting healthy. I think they've had to fight through adversity. I like Oak Ridge tonight, 31-30 in a barn burner.
Dobbins Bennett of Jefferson County, as I mentioned earlier, Dobbins Bennett comes to this game steaming mad over that loss to Greenville that they should have won. I like them against Jefferson County tonight.
Hey, man, this might be crazy, but it's at home at Jefferson County. This is a defense that's playing really well. They've had one hiccup against Sevier County due to turnovers and special teams play. They've cleaned it up. They've got a harder schedule. Jefferson County, 24-21 tonight.
Anderson County at Carter should be a wild game. A lot of offense in that one. As we mentioned in the last segment, Tony Lambert, the defensive coordinator out at Anderson County, I think he dials something up tonight that gives them the win. Anderson County for me.
I think a lot of people think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I don't. I think Tony Lambert's going to correct the mistakes that he's seen over the last couple of weeks. I have Anderson County winning big tonight, Jesse, 42-20.
Okay. And final game, Father Ryan at Catholic. It feels like we don't even get to talk about Catholic. They've had 2 bye weeks in the last 3 weeks. They've matched up historically well against Father Ryan. I'm going to take Catholic in this one, but it's historically always a close game.
Yeah, I tell you, Catholic, we talked about bye weeks earlier in the show, Jesse. This is where it can hurt you because you can't get a rhythm. Catholic has struggled to score against quality opponents, less than 10 points in both of those games. Father Ryan has impressive wins against Brentwood High and Cane Ridge already on the year. I like Father Ryan tonight, 35-17. I just don't think Catholic has enough.
All right, we'll see. Yeah, I think you've done well so far this year. I don't have a tally or anything, but you definitely have done well in some predictions. All right, that's it for us tonight on 5 Star Live. Jared, are we going to do a halftime show? Are you going to hang out? All right, so come back at halftime. We'll take a look at this game and some other games around the area, see whose predictions are shaking out halfway through the night. So stick with us tonight here on social media on 5 Star Live, presented by East Tennessee Spine and Sport.
You're watching 5 Star Live, presented by East Tennessee Spine and Sport. Tennessee's #1 high school football show. Live on location from the biggest game of the week. Live interviews from coaches and players, along with highlights, predictions, and up-to-date information about this week's biggest games. Your hosts, Jesse Smithy and Kevin Smith, with decades of experience covering and coaching high school sports, along with a 5-star preps team, will break down region outlooks, and what's to come for your favorite prep football teams and top players. Now, get ready for the most comprehensive high school football coverage in Tennessee on 5 Star Live.
Are you ready for some football?
We're ready for some football, baby.